tight space, thought we were actually past that, but anyway. It's now 5 o'clock. We'll begin our Committee of Adjustment meeting for the month of July. Jody?
I just want to officially introduce our newest planner. Her name is Miranda Ivany. And Ivany. And yeah, she's just started in our planning department, so I just want to introduce her.
Welcome. Okay. For everyone's information, we'll generally deal with each application according to the order of the agenda. I guess we have extra copies at the front there.
Yep.
Anyone present who wishes to speak in support or against an application, as well as anyone with questions or concerns, will have an opportunity to speak. The committee will make their decision following each application. If there's anyone present who is not an applicant or an agent but is interested in the decision of the committee, you may file your interest with our Secretary Treasurer. Please list the file number and your full name and mailing address. Copies of the decisions are automatically sent to the applicant and agent within 15 days of the meeting. Only the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decisions in respect to the applications for consent or minor variances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The decisions are final if there are no appeals 20 days after the committee's decision. May I remind everyone that we are being recorded. To mute your devices, as well as if you wish to speak to an application, make your way to the podium, which we don't have today. It's just a chair there. And state your first and last name for the record. First order of business is to determine if any members have any disclosures of interest when considering any of the applications that we'll be dealing with. Are there any disclosures of interest?
Yes.
Lisa?
That's the 153 is the end numbers, I believe.
2023153.
You got it.
Noted.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Have all the members received the minutes for the previous meeting? Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none. If not, I have a resolution for me. Moved by Lisa?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks for the volunteer.
Just go around.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Our first application we considered is a minor variance, file number ANPL 2023-114, name of 2683803, Ontario Inc., care of Alyssa Higgins. And planner can get the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 2.7 meters in roof height to allow for the construction of a two-story garage with ADU above, with a total height of 7.7 meters. The subject lands are located on the south side of La Salette Road within the Hamlet Residential Zone, Hamlet OP designation of La Salette. There is a detached two-story dwelling on the site. The lot has an area of 1,062 square meters, a frontage of 25.25 meters, and a lot depth of 41.9 meters. There is farmland to the east and south of the site and dwellings to the north and west. The proposal is in line with the intent of both the Planning Act and the PPS on the basis that it supports a range of housing options and intensification. It is also the opinion of staff that the proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of the official plan, providing that the required relief from the zoning bylaws can be achieved. Section 3.2.1A of the zoning bylaws permits other accessory structures in the Hamlet residential designation or zone to have a height of 6 meters, albeit ADUs are limited to 5 meters in height. Given the location of the proposed garage and ADU within the application lands, the requested relief in height is considered both minor and appropriate to allow for an ADU above a garage. The proposed garage and ADU would comply with all other provisions of the relevant zoning bylaws in terms of usable floor area and setbacks. Staff are of the opinion that this complies with the 4 tests in terms of being appropriate and minor and conforms to the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And as such, we recommend this file for approval.
Okay, thank you. Is there an applicant or agent for this file present? No?
There actually is. I'm Alyssa.
Okay. Hang in there for a second. We'll get back to you if necessary. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Does the applicant have anything to add?
I do not. That sounded all correct.
Okay, very good. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this application, either online or present? What are the wishes of the committee?
I'll move to approve.
Seconded by
I can second.
Linda. So file number ANTL 2023-114 in the name of 803 Ontario Inc. in the care of Alyssa Higgins has been moved for approval in accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, which requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, and maintains the general intent of the official plan. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, so next up we have file number BNPL 2023-140 in the name of Craig Young. The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 30.42 meters, a width of 90.11 meters, a depth of 100.67 meters, and having an area of 4,572.95 square meters, or 1.13 acres, and retain a parcel having an area of 78.41 acres as a boundary adjustment. Lands to be added to existing residential lot located immediately to the west of 1946 East Quarter Line with roll number 33105 42020 43720, resulting in a final lot size of 9,226.8 square meters, or 2.28 acres. The recommendation for this application is referral, and I will go through the reasoning for this recommendation. For a boundary adjustment in an agricultural zone and an agricultural designation, the PPS and the OP state that there needs to be a legal or technical reason for a boundary adjustment, given that, as in this instance, the proposal would result in a loss of farmland, regardless of whether that farmland is cultivated land or not. The main reason given for this application is that a swimming pool was constructed on the adjacent land, the retained farmland, given this land was in the ownership of a family member of the applicant at the time. However, the presence of any development outside of a lot of record is not itself a legal or technical reason for a boundary adjustment, given it was known to not be within the benefiting site's boundary. As you will have seen within attachment 2 of the report, a planning justification report was submitted, which provides an excerpt of a legal opinion that there could be a case for adverse possession, or what is more commonly known as squatters' rights. This notes that providing the pool had been constructed prior to May of 1997, there may be some basis in law for this reasoning. However, no pool permit was ever sought for this development, so the pool and fence is actually an unlawful development. And as no further proof has been provided to the county substantiating that these dates are accurate, staff cannot just accept these claims. Our historic mapping only goes back to 2006, so staff cannot independently verify these claims. As such, a request for an internal legal opinion has been submitted. The request for referral is to allow time for this legal opinion to be carried out and to allow the applicants time to provide evidence to support their claim, thus providing staff a legal justification to allow this boundary adjustment. At this stage, staff cannot support this application, and in the absence of a referral, a refusal of this file would be necessary, as it would not meet the minimum legal requirements for a boundary adjustment as outlined in the PPS and the official plan.
Okay, thank you. Is there an applicant or agent present? Okay, Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Just a second. Anything from the committee to the planner?
I just have a question. I'm just looking at the conditions in the report, and condition number 2, it says subject to approval and notice of declaration for the required zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate the community institutional.
Up in that one too, my apologies. That would need to be removed where you minded to approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wasn't following that.
Sorry, what was the explanation on that?
It seems to be a gremlin that I've had in a couple of reports. That's the thing that's come in, which is from a different report.
Okay,
So, yeah.
so that's an error.
It's an error.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So it would just need to be removed.
Anything else from the committee, the planner? Mr. Sullivan.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I guess as a starting point, this application, as the planner was noting, appears on the surface to be a simple boundary adjustment, which has been noted as being a removal of some agricultural land. I take it differently when you dig down underneath the surface. There was a pool that was installed. It was installed in excess of 20 years ago.
27.
So, in excess. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 27 years. Then there's the there's mechanical, electrical, sprinkler systems, and hydro lines that are noted on the one drawing as well. To cover basically it's the landscaped area is what we're asking for. And that's what the measurements are. It's basically lawn, sprinkler, electrical, gas lines, and tree planting, because it was the corner of the field and the lot was severed off.
So in my view, it is a legal issue right now. It is a legal request. So we have a differential opinion in terms of the fact I believe it is consistent with the PPS that it is a legal reason for this, regardless of what lands are involved. There was lands that were used for a pool several years ago. As the legal letter, and I've made copies of this, so they're highlighted if that's of use to the committee. But everyone's got it as part of their submission. There's two issues. One is the adverse possession or squatters' rights, and then number 2 is the statute of limitations. And I understand from the lawyer here, reading from the lawyer's letter, if no lawsuit were to be brought within 10 years of the construction, the registered ownership rights end. In their opinion.
Yeah, that actually applies to lawn and maintenance and tree planting. So in Norfolk, apparently it was implemented in 2007. So when we started doing the construction and everything that was done on the property, it was actually the trees and so on were put in 95, I believe, but the main construction was started in 96. And apparently from what my understanding is that because it's more than 10 years before 207 that those get tied in under adverse possession.
So there was some discussion in the staff report about the date. There was some inconsistencies within county records about the date, whether it be 97, 99. I don't think that's really relevant. There's perhaps an error in there. The fact is that 2007 is when the move happened in a legal opinion, and 10 years from then is 2017, and we're 2023. So we're clearly beyond that 10 years at this point. So in
96 is when the main portion of it started, which was prior to that. So that's when a lawsuit needed to be taken against the adverse possession of the lawn and landscaping prior to 97.
Which strengthens the argument even more that it was 2007 for the date, and then we're still 2023, which is significantly passed. So in my view, if I could jump to the recommendations. I understand that this has already been referred to the county's lawyer, which is great. I would suggest this is a matter between legal opinions to start with, so that the county can, as the staff report said, do due diligence. But I would say in respect to county staff and to the committee's workload and future workload, I would ask kindly that instead of being referred, a decision be made today, and that an extra condition be placed that subject to the county solicitor's approval, something of that nature, so that the lawyers for both sides the county's lawyer can go through and figure out what the issue is. I think it's clear that the use of the land is a legal matter, not a land use matter. And that the boundary adjustment, in my view, is minor and is correcting an issue that has existed for 20 plus years at this point.
Okay, I have a question. So we're dealing with a pool that was put in without a permit to start with, right?
Mhm.
Has there been a purchase and sale of the properties that we're adjusting?
There will be, yes. That's based on this, on the boundary.
So it hasn't happened yet, but
No, they said we had to get this in place first. So basically, when we spoke to Brimage locally to do it, they said we have to have this approved so that they can put all the paperwork together to do the purchase and sale. And Josh, who is involved with this as well as the neighbors who owns the farm, basically we've got an agreement. So the lawyers at Brimage had said we have to get this in place in order to do that.
okay,
And then we can go ahead and finish cleaning up the boundary lines.
right, okay. Anything else from the committee? I think you just.
That way.
Huh?
Well, okay, just a question for staff. So regardless of the lawyer's, the county solicitor's opinion, like what's the option here? Have the pool removed or like?
Well, I mean, as far as having the pool removed, that would be for bylaw enforcement because it doesn't have a permit. But as far as what we're looking at here, the fact that land has been used for a period of time doesn't sort of change its use. I mean, it may in a civil matter, it may in a legal matter. So it may be that the lawyers would say they already own this land because they've used it in excess of 20 years. Then in my mind, that's a civil matter and it should be a merger, not necessarily a boundary adjustment. If there is this sort of legal issue there saying this is actually the applicant's land now because of this period of time, it should be a merger, not necessarily a boundary adjustment. But the fact remains, it's still agricultural land and we need to prove the legal or technical reason. And as I say, we've had other applications where someone has been using land outside their lot for a period of time. That does not constitute a legal reason. Or we've not accepted that as a legal reason in the past. I'll clarify that. We've not accepted that as a legal reason. So for consistency, we want to be able to establish that there is a legal justification because that is part of the PPS and the OP. It's not just sort of a local bylaw issue. This is something that's above Norfolk County in terms of a rule. So we just need to be sure that we've done our due diligence and that once we've had that legal opinion, and my assumption will be they'll agree, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't, that's not my call to make, that we would then come back and say, yeah, this is likely fine. We had the evidence put in, we have the dates, and our independent legal advice has been said, yeah, that's great. That is a legal justification. Then I'm perfectly happy for it to go forward. My concern is that we don't have that, and because there's a lack of a permit, we can't, and our mapping goes back to 2006, then jumps back to 1964. There's nothing that says that pool went in then. We just have the applicant saying that. So until we have some level of proof for these dates, the legal opinion that was given to the applicant is just that. It's an opinion based on information they were given.
Right.
Yeah, the permit you have is from 96 for the house and the landscaping.
Yeah, for the house.
So,
but,
Okay,
so yeah.
One more question. So if it's a merger, how is that, what process is that? Is that a different?
It's a different process in that if you already legally own two lots side by side, it's a legal matter where they merge the two into one. So we've had that quite often in Long Point with when people have bought a bit more of the sort of waterway from the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Right.
They buy this little strangely shaped lot, they get their patents, whatever, and then it gets merged into the other lot. Now, it may be that the appropriate way is a boundary adjustment. As I say, I'm not a lawyer, but in my mind, if there's already this legal proof or whatever you want to call it, a legal definition that this land already belongs to the applicant, then why aren't we just moving it straight into a merger?
Yeah.
So that's where I really want this legal opinion to come in, so that I understand what's going on and I've done what I need to do to have a record of it for the public.
Okay,
Okay, I have a question.
go ahead, Phil.
If this does not meet the test for adverse possession, which I don't think it will, because you need to basically not have consent. You need to restrict the other party from accessing the property, and it's not fenced. It hasn't got no trespassing signs all over or anything like that. So I think it's unlikely it will meet that. Could they achieve the same thing by granting an easement? Can you grant an easement on agricultural land, I guess is the question.
You can grant an easement, I'm just not sure what that would necessarily achieve, because an easement's really sort of so that you have access across the land.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily.
Not exclusive
use of
right?
the land.
Yeah.
So I think it's not necessarily something I would recommend, although, again, I'm not a lawyer, so they may suggest that that is something that could satisfy the need. I
think it will still remain the issue of permit of that.
Yeah, that's the other sort of red hair, or not red herring.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan, you want to rebut something?
A couple of things. I don't know.
Give you a minute here. Okay.
We're trying to solve a problem today, Mr. Chair. We're trying to solve a problem, which is that a pool, rightly or wrongly, and I think the statute of limitations, based on what a lawyer's letter has put into play, does apply in this case. So the fact the pool was put into play without a permit, to me, is not relevant anymore. There's not a bylaw enforcement issue. There's no complaint. There's nothing there.
Probably not.
So
Sorry.
Myself not being a lawyer, I can't speak to that. But we have an opinion from a trained lawyer, a licensed lawyer here, that says adverse possession statute of limitations clearly applies. In terms of the merger, I don't know how that would work, because if you're trying to merge two lots together that are owned by different parties, then my client would be adversely impacted by that. I don't know what the end result of that would be. The easement I can see as a potential solution, but it makes title muddy when and if a future sale comes in.
Well, but I understand where your client is going with, he's come here to do this before he can continue the purchase and sale.
Right.
That's what they had asked, and they had asked specifically to do a readjustment.
I think the committee gets that too. Lisa, anything? Doesn't matter.
I just have a difficult time giving the okay if we haven't heard with it. Like, do we have an idea of how long this legal interaction will take?
That's the county side.
So
you've referred it to the county, Michael?
Really, right?
What I'm suggesting, Mr. Chair, is that if you put a condition in to confirm the adverse possession from the county solicitor, if my client is not able to satisfy that within the 2-year time frame, this is null and void. I'm just trying to respect the community's time on this one.
I have a little trouble adding more conditions lately. We've had some discussion about that. So I would support a referral myself, but I'll leave that to the committee, and let's just hear from the public. If there's anybody else that wishes to speak to this application, please do, either present or online. And hearing none, what are the wishes of the committee on this file?
I'll move to refer.
And a seconder, please?
Lisa will second. Yep.
So the motion is to refer file number BNPL 2023-140 in the name of Craig Young. And all those in favor? And that's carried.
Means we can refer and lawyers can take a position.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So Next up is file number ANPL 2023141 in the name of Michael Hogeveen, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to request relief from section 3.2422 of the zoning bylaw to expand an existing legal non-conforming boathouse, roughly measuring 64 square meters in size and hazard zoning, through a 77 square meter addition and a partial second floor storage area of 41.08 square meters, totaling a total usable floor area of 132.16 square meters. And then relief is sought also to increase the existing height, which is 5.486 meters to a maximum height of 7.07 meters. It's also been requested. So the subject lands are located east of the intersection of Chapman Street and Silver Lake Drive in the urban area of Port Dover. As noted, they're occupied by an existing boathouse. So the result will be a new boathouse, an expanded boat slip, and second storage area. So no habitable space proposed inside the boathouse. The intention is for recreational use of the property owner. The subject lands are unique by today's bylaw standards, and there's a submitted planning rationale report included in attachment 1, which summarizes this consideration. In essence, this boathouse can be understood to be legal non-conforming because it has existed uninterrupted prior to the establishment of the City of Land Code bylaw, NW 1-2000. And this minor variance permits relief from section 3.242 of the bylaw, which limits non-conforming uses from exceeding its size and footprint. The LPRCA submitted a comment in attachment 2, noting no concern with the concept of a boathouse. However, they did flag that the presence of a second story and deck are common indicators of habitable space, and that any habitable space would not be supported. I think, as we all know, this evaluation is consistent with other similar proposals that we see in boathouses in the resort residential zones. With that said, in reviewing the policies of the provincial policy statement and official plan as it pertains to the urban waterfront designation and special policy areas, we might be using this as an example where a reasonable accommodation can be granted for the proposed use, highlighting again that residential habitation is not permitted, but this is understood to be a recreational use. So in the opinion, it meets the core test. I'm recommending for approval and available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. Is there an applicant or agent present?
I'm here.
Okay. And Mary, you're representing? Okay, very good. Any questions or concerns from the committee on this file? Anything to add, Mary?
I was just here for questions, and I thought perhaps Mike would speak to you about the use of that second floor, just so you feel more assured about its use.
Okay, sure. Chime in.
The second story is for fishing equipment storage in the winter because the water rises quite a bit. We're a 7-minute drive to home, so nobody will ever live there. It's not practical, it's not insulated, it's just for recreational for the boat.
Okay, very good. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? No? Anything else from the committee? What are their wishes?
Move to approve.
Moves to approve.
Lisa will second.
Lisa seconds. File number ANPL 2023141 in the name of Michael Hogeveen. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaws. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, we have file number ANPL 2023151 in the name of Miles Park. The file can give, planner can give the report, please.
Through the chair, an application has been received to create an easement with a frontage of 17.15 meters, a width of the same, and a regular depth of 35.35 meters to 32.34 meters, resulting in a total area of 566.95 square meters for the purpose of providing a parking lot for the convenience store located on the neighboring property to the south at 70 Hillcrest Road. So as noted, these are
located in the hamlet of Hillcrest, northwest of the intersection of Hillcrest Road and West Street. The lands to be retained are occupied by a single detached dwelling with a carport, and the lands to benefit are occupied by a convenience store, as noted earlier. So historically, the lands to benefit have a convenience store which has been established and has grown in its parking needs, and this easement is an approach favored by planning staff as opposed to a more permanent form of land reconfiguration, such as a boundary adjustment, which has the potential to establish deficiencies in the zoning bylaw for things such as setbacks, lot size, and so forth. So with that said, to be brief, it's my opinion this proposal meets the intent of the policies identified in the provincial policy statement, official plan and zoning bylaw. And with that said, I'm recommending for approval, subject to the conditions included in attachment 1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? No. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none. What are the wishes of the committee?
I'll move to approve.
Phil? A second here? File number BNPL 2023151 in the name of Mayon Park. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding an easement, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All those in favor? And that's carried. And next up, Lisa. So file number ANPL 2023153, Aaron and Jennifer Dinsmore, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 3,427.57 square meters in lot area to allow for a lot area of 572.43 square meters, relief of 8.42% in lot coverage to allow for a coverage of 23.42%, 2 meters of relief in front yard setback to allow a setback of 4 meters, relief of 1 meter in overall height to allow a total height of 10.1 meters, and relief of 4.7 meters in the exterior yard setback to allow an exterior yard setback of 1.3 meters. You may have noticed that this is different than was in the report that you'll have read. I have spoken with the agent, and it would appear that there was some miscommunication in the information provided in the application form, and the level of relief sought was above that necessary. You will see, Chairman, that you have the corrected description in your decision sheets. The subject lands are located at the corner of Ferris Road and Cedar Drive within the resort residential zone of Turkey Point. The area of the subject lands is approximately 572 square meters, with approximately 16.2 meters of frontage on Ferris Road. The subject lands are occupied by an existing single-story vacation home and 2 existing timber accessory buildings, resulting in a lot coverage of approximately 13.2%. There are single-story cottages to all sides of the subject land. The application seeks relief for the replacement cottage and did not include the deficiencies in terms of height or usable floor area for the proposed accessory garage within the relevant sections of the application form, and will therefore require a separate application for a minor variance in due course. In the report, given the higher level of relief sought for lot coverage, this application was recommended for refusal. Whilst I do have some reservations about a 3-story cottage in this particular location, I do not consider that this would result in harm to a level where I would still recommend refusal. The levels of relief now sought are considered minor and appropriate, and the proposal would largely conform to the PPS, DOP, and the other relevant zoning bylaws. Staff therefore recommend this application for approval with the amended description.
Okay, so just to be clear, originally the report that went out on Friday said 33%.
It was going to be a 33% lot coverage with a relief of 18.
And now we're at 23.42%. Yes. Okay, that's just so everyone is clear on that.
It turned out that the total that we had in terms of the proposed lot coverage in the application form was actually the relief for the cottage plus 10% for the accessory buildings.
Okay, good.
So
Makes a huge difference.
it is all clear,
Yep.
and yes, it has reduced the lot coverage significantly.
Makes a huge difference. Is there an applicant or agent present which, okay, we'll get to you in a second. Does the committee have any other questions for the planner? I don't want to make sure you're clear on the numbers, right? 23%. Okay. Do you have anything to add? No?
Questions, we can answer lots of questions about the 3 stories. I know that that was kind of like.
Come on up and sit, have a seat.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that, like, asking for 3 stories seems like a lot. It seems fairly standard in our area that people are being approved at about 10 meters in height, with 2 stories in most cases, and we are just kind of putting a 3rd story into that same height restriction so that we can, you know, take advantage of a little bit of extra storage space since we're not able to have garage or basements in that area.
But you're not really asking for more relief than what's out there now.
I don't.
The 10 meters is, I know, kind of our typical
I know a
vacation
neighbor
resort residential.
within 50 meters of us, so we got the letter that he was applying for 11 meters in height, and he was approved at 10 meters in height.
Okay.
So he's just kitty corner to us behind.
Okay, that it? Okay. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, is there anything else from the committee? No, what are your wishes?
I'll move to approve.
Moves to approve.
I'll second it.
Bill has to second.
There's nobody else here.
Flip a coin and see who's making that. Anyway, file number ANPL 2023153, in the name of Aaron and Jennifer Dinsmore, in accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, requested relief is considered. Some editing here. Is considered to be appropriate for the proposed development or minor in nature and does maintain the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. All those in favor? That is carried.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Tell Lisa to-
You can ask Lisa to step back in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Apparently we laugh with them when I'm not here. I can hear them laughing from this.
Trying to keep all the applications light for you then. Okay, so file number BNPL 2023157, Duke of Farms, Erica Van Ness. The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 62 meters, a width of 62 meters, a depth of 49 meters, and having an area of 3,000 square meters or 0.74 acres, and retain a parcel having an area of 29.65 hectares as the severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The subject lands are located on the south side of Glenmire Road near the intersection with North Road, southwest of the hamlet of Glenmire. It is an existing agricultural lot used for farming and has an area of 29.75 hectares. It is proposed to sever an existing dwelling made surplus to the needs of farming through farm amalgamation. The site has an existing single-story detached dwelling, a bunkhouse, which I understand is to be demolished, and an existing garage. To the rear are 2 larger storage barns used in conjunction with arable farming on the land and do not house any livestock. Just by way of an update, there had been a parallel minor variance application as part of this, but that was deemed unnecessary, so it had been withdrawn. I'm not sure if that made it into the reports back or not, but Staff have evaluated the farming operation and determined that the proposed severance meets the definition of a residence surplus to a farming operation as the result of farm consolidation. The applicant has proposed a lot size which exceeds the minimum lot size of 2,000 square meters as stated in the zoning bylaws of Norfolk County by 1,000 square meters. Whilst the proposed rear boundary could be slightly closer to the rear of the garage, perhaps by 2 meters, to meet the minimum zoning bylaw standards, the lot area is not considered to be excessive and does not result in the loss of any cultivated farmland. It would also provide a small additional buffer between the barns on the retained land and the surplus dwelling. As such, it is considered the proposed application meets the intent of both the Planning Act and the PPS. The proposal would not result in the loss of any existing cultivated farmland, nor would it adversely affect the operation or viability of the surrounding farm operation. No deficiencies in the zoning bylaw have been identified. It is the professional opinion of staff that the proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of both the official plan and the zoning bylaws. Given the above, this file is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you. Is there a planner or an applicant or agent? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planners? Does the agent have anything to add?
We're supportive of staff's recommendation. Myself and the owners are available for any questions.
Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee. Lisa Moostrom. And Phil. So file number BMPL 2023-157 in the name of Duca Farms, Karen Erica Van Ness. The application is consistent with the PPS, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within a rural area, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Trash the microphone.
It still works. Sorry.
Okay, file number AMPL 2023-160, Robert and Catherine Dunlap, please.
Mr. Chair, an application has been received to reconstruct an existing detached garage, so there's 69 square meter second-story addition. Requiring relief of 64 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area, and 100 square meters for accessory structures to prove a total of 164 square meters in usable floor area. Subject lands are located southeast of the intersection of Erie Avenue and Plains Parkway in Long Point. Currently, they are occupied by a vacation home, detached garage, wooden deck, and concrete patio. The effect of this will be a redevelopment of the existing detached garage, resulting in the addition of a second story. The lands abut the Lake Erie shoreline, which are identified as a provincially significant wetland. As the footprint of the existing garage is not increasing in size, only in height, staff do not anticipate any negative impacts to the ecological function of lands adjacent to that PSW. A comment submitted by the LPRCA, including attachment 1, notes that, and I'm quoting here, based on the information provided in the application, there is a potential to convert the second story into habitable space in the future. A second story deck is commonly associated with living areas and not with storage space. Additional habitable space cannot be supported in this location, end quote. And the LPRCA comment concludes, quote, the proposed application may not be consistent with section 3.1.2c of the provincial policy statement 2020. End quote. So recognizing that habitable space would not meet the intent of PPS, I confirmed with the applicant that the proposed garage will not be used for habitation. And then just for the record, staff would not also support the use of habitable space in the structure, as both the official plan and zoning bylaw do not permit this as a use in the resort residential designation and zone. But recognizing what we have on the application in front of us, we understand the intention is for storage. So in reviewing in that lens, I'm of the opinion the redevelopment does not change the existing garage's conformity. For other provisions such as height, setbacks, or lot coverage. In my professional opinion, they meet the core tests, and I'm recommending it for approval today. Questions?
Okay, thank you. Is there an applicant or agent present?
Mike Ross.
Okay, Mike, how you doing? Good. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Does the agent have anything to add?
Nope, nope, thank you.
Okay.
Just nice to meet
Thanks for coming. Is there anyone present online or in person that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee?
I'll move to approve.
Linda? A second?
Lisa will second.
Thank you. File number AMPL 2023-160 in the name of Robert and Catherine Dunlop. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? That's carried. That's it. And number AMPL 2023-161, Douglas and Deborah Morrison, please.
Thank you. So an application has been received to reconstruct the detached garage requiring relief of 28 square meters and maximum permitted area of 100 square meters. Total area of 128 square meters and 0.5% of relief from the maximum permitted lot coverage of 10% for accessory structures total, resulting in a maximum lot coverage of 10.5%. Just noting up top, the zoning administrator during the circulation process identified the amount of relief originally requested was incorrect. So I've worked with the applicant and staff to have a revised yellow sign and mail notice put out within planning act statutory timelines. So just for transparency, the revised mapping has been included at the bottom of my report. In terms of planning context, this is almost identical to the previous file that we just discussed. So truly no really major concerns that pertains to the ecological form and function of the provincially significant wetland that is Lake Erie. I don't anticipate the increased footprint of the existing garage to be increasing so significantly to be too concerned. The comment submitted by the LPRC and attached 1 indicates no concern with the concept of this application. So with that said, I believe that this is a minor application and meets the core tests and we're recommending for approval.
Okay, thank you. This is yours again, Mike?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and does the committee have any questions of the planner? And you have nothing to add, Mike?
No.
Okay, and is there anyone wishing to speak to this application present or online? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee?
Lisa moves to approve.
Lisa? Bill?
Yep.
File number AMPL 2023-161, Douglas and Deborah Morrison. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? That is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, file number ANPL 2023-163, Stephen Proctor, please.
Through the chair, an application has been received seeking relief of 8 meters from the front yard setback of 13 meters to allow for a total front yard setback of 5 meters to facilitate the construction of a detached 2-car garage and workshop. The subject lands are located on the south side of Charlotteville Road 10, near where it becomes Charlton Road to the south of Boondock. It is a residential site with a 2-story detached dwelling. The lot has an area of 3,981.5 square meters, a frontage of 74.7 meters, and a depth of 58.6 meters. The lot is surrounded by mature woodlands and is within the hazard land OP designation. Whilst the subject lands are within the hazard land, the LPRCA have raised no concerns and have advised that the proposal is consistent with the PPS in this regard. It is also staff's opinion that the proposal would meet the overall intent and purpose of the officials. Staff recognize that ideally an accessory structure would be accommodated to the rear of the main dwelling. Section 3.2.1.b.I does allow for accessory buildings in an agricultural zone to be within the front yard, but not within the required front yard setback. Given the proposed garage workshop would be approximately 11 meters in length, it could not fit in the front yard without intruding into the required front yard setback. Given the location of the septic bed and another accessory building, and the location of the driveway within the site, it is not evident how this garage could be positioned behind the host dwelling. Given this, the relief sought from both sections 3.2.1.b.I and the front yard setback can be considered appropriate for the site and minor in this instance. It is a professional opinion of staff that the proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of the zoning bylaws, and this file is recommended for approval.
Thank you. Agent or applicant present for this file?
The agent Lloyd Vermeer is available.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Does the agent or applicant have anything to add?
Nothing to add at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none. What are the wishes of the committee? Approval. A seconder. File number AMPL 2023-163, Stephen Proctor. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the request for relief is considered appropriate for the proposal development, minor in nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, last steps we have, you're going to do these together, right?
Yes.
So we have file number BMPL 2023-179 and AMPL 2023-180 in the name of Robert Peacock. And you can give your report.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received for a boundary adjustment for a section of land measuring approximately 45.7 meters in depth by 12.2 meters in width, with an overall area of approximately 557.4 square meters to benefit 2556 Highway 24, which seeks to expand the existing residential lot to allow for the installation of a septic bed and to improve a deficient lot in terms of area. The total lot size after boundary adjustment would be 1,950.96 square meters. This application is related to AMPL 2023-180, which seeks relief of 22.5 hectares to address the further reduction in size of an existing legally non-conforming agricultural lot following the boundary adjustment BNPL 2023-179. The final lot size would be 15.75 hectares, my apologies, a reduction of approximately 560 square meters. The subject lands are located on the east side of Highway 24 between Concession 13 Townsend and Old Highway 24 north of Simcoe. They form part of a larger farm lot, which are the retained lands, and are adjacent to a building lot of record, the benefiting lands, which has recently been developed with a new dwelling. The subject land is a narrow strip of land running the depth of the benefiting lot and is currently cultivated farmland, but does have a hydro easement across it. The subject boundary adjustment would not result in the formation of a new lot. It would result in the minor loss of a small area of currently cultivated farmland on an existing legally non-conforming agricultural lot. Whilst reviewing these files, it was confirmed that due to a staff error, the septic bed was granted a permit by the county on land in part outside of the residential lot. This is a lot of modest size, previously undeveloped and severed a number of years previously under old legislation. It is considered that this is a sufficient technical reason to justify a boundary adjustment. So that is both the permitting of the septic system crossing onto the adjacent land, as well as bringing a deficient lot closer to what we would generally have as the area for a surplus dwelling. Both the retained and benefiting lands are deficient in terms of current bylaws, but are also both legally non-conforming. The proposed boundary adjustment would increase the lot of the benefiting lands to 1,950 square meters, just what would be considered for the surplus farm dwelling sevens. This is considered the minimum size lot, as this area allows for a dwelling, garage, driveway, and septic system within the lot. Given this lot was undersized, the additional land subject of the boundary adjustment would bring this lot largely in line with current requirements, and as such, no minor variance for the benefiting lands is considered necessary. The retained lands, however, would be made further deficient in terms of lot area, and as such, a minor variance was considered necessary in this instance. Were this a surplus farm dwelling severance, the retained lands, even when made more deficient, would not require a minor variance to correct. However, the benefiting lot was formed under previous legislation and is already a lot of record. This said, the area of the subject lands, 560 square meters, is not a significant loss of cultivated farmland and would have a negligible impact on the viability of the farm business. It is considered that the level of relief sought is minor and appropriate and subject to conditions of approval. It is staff's opinion that proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and these files are recommended for approval. Sorry. I have been approached by the agent for this site, who highlighted that the 1 square foot condition, condition 3, should apply to the benefiting lands and not to the retained lands. So this has been corrected in the information that you have.
Okay.
He also pointed out an incorrect condition, which is condition 2, again, which is the typo that has appeared again. So, whilst this was after publication of the agenda report packs, which you'll have seen, these corrections have been made to the chairman's papers.
So that condition is deleted.
The condition 2 is deleted, condition 3 has been amended with the correct details for it to apply to the benefiting lands and not to the retained lands.
Okay, good. Thank you. Agent or applicant is here, I see. Thank you for coming.
Good evening.
Does the committee have any questions of the planner?
No.
Does the agent have anything to add?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Nathan Colmea, Burbage Law Group. For the record, I just want to thank Andrew for his work on the report, and I am pleased to advise board generally to the committee that I and staff are finally on the same page with respect to 1 foot square.
That's great, because the chair is still confused. Anyway, thank you. That's everything you have to add?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you have any questions of the agent? No? Nothing? Good. What are the wishes of the committee? So we'll do these separately. We'll do the BNPL 2023-179 first, and that is.
And through you, Mr. Chair, if you could please ask if anyone wishes to speak to the application.
Yes. It's always you.
It's always.
Why is that? Is there anyone present online or in person that wishes to speak to this application? Thankfully,
no.
The wishes of the committee, please.
Lisa moves to approve.
Thank you.
179, right?
That's for BNPL.
Yep.
You have a seconder, Linda? So file number BNPL 2023-179 in the name of Robert Peacock. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding boundary adjustments. It meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All in favor? And that is carried. And that one's approved. And the next one up is the minor variance. I can find it. File number AMPL 20, moved by.
If I could
Sorry,
pull you again, just to ask the question again, I think it should be fine that you've asked it once, but.
Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application of a minor variance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hearing none, the wishes of the committee.
Move to approve.
Phil?
Lisa will second.
Lisa, thank you. File number AMPL 2023-180 in the name of Robert Peacock in accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, request for relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan. No comment was received from anybody. All in favor? That's carried.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for reminding me. I'm never going to live that one down. Okay, so any other business or announcements? Jody? Nothing? I have an announcement. It's Jody's birthday today.
Oh,
Happy birthday. We won't sing. So other than that, the only other thing I want to mention, Jody, is the calendar online shows that next month's meeting is at 6 o'clock.
Oh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
No, we're not sure of the location yet.
Yeah.
It will either be here,
Okay.
or RAB.
Oh, okay.
That, yeah, that one won't be ready, like
Okay.
the council chambers won't be ready. So to be determined.
Okay.
And we have additional training, right? Yep.
Yeah, that will take
Maybe.
place.
Yeah, then get bumped
To be
again.
determined. Okay, anything else from anybody else? No, nothing? Motion to adjourn? Linda?
Nobody.
Seconded by Phil.
Yep.
All in favor, that's carried, and it's 6 o'clock sharp. There you have it.